Let's bring in Hugh Hewitt, host of the Hugh Hewitt Show on the Salem Radio Network and MSNBC political analyst. Good morning. Thanks for being with us, Hugh.
Hey, Betty. Good morning.
Okay, so you've interviewed all three of Trump's new cabinet picks on your show. What have you learned from that, and what's most important for people to know about them in particular?
Well, let me go in reverse order of how well I know them. Mike Pompeo's been a guest on my radio show probably every week for about 3 years. #1 in his class at West Point. Widely regarded as one of the brightest guys in the Congress, a Harvard Law graduate, very close friends with Senator Tom Cotton. He takes his job very seriously, covers the globe on Codell, goes everywhere around when they're out of session, and is widely and greatly regarded as a bright star. Senator Jeff Sessions, now going to be the Attorney General, probably among the most qualified people ever to be nominated to be Attorney General. 17 years as an Assistant United States Attorney and United States Attorney, 2 decades on the Judiciary Committee. Energetic, much beloved. His district court confirmation that went awry was because of 2 votes, Charles Mathias and Arlen Specter. And Arlen Specter said he later regretted giving credit to those critiques of Senator Sessions back in 1986. Terrific choice from a conservative point of view, frequent guest on the show. General Flynn's only been on my show once, but I have read his book, Field of Fight. 33 years in the uniform, Assistant Director of the National Security Agency. He was, of course, the head of the DIA. He was fired because he was outspoken about the threat of what President Obama called the JVs. General Flynn has a book out, Field of Fight. That's what I talked to him about. And I think your audience ought to know that the cover page of that includes a ringing endorsement of General Flynn by Joe Lieberman. General Flynn is widely regarded as a brilliant strategist with a master's in strategy from the Naval War College. And I love the line in his book, I have shot at, captured, interrogated, and studied our enemies, and they scare us. I think he's one of the most qualified national security advisors in decades.
Interesting. Okay, well, but last night, though, Hugh, NAACP President Cornell William Brooks weighed in on Trump's choices so far, and in particular, Jeff Sessions' nomination. Here's a piece of that I want you to take a listen to.
What we see here is an administration in its early days signaling that it is hostile toward or indifferent to the civil rights agenda of the country. And so the question is, if he was not good enough to be a federal judge interpreting the law, how then is he good enough to be Attorney General actually enforcing the law?
Hugh, what's your response to that?
I think that's absurd. I mean, just genuinely absurd. Jeff Sessions has a terrific record on civil rights. Mike Pompeo does as well. And General Flynn rose through an army that is very sensitive to civil rights. And so I think the fact that he wants to judge people so quickly and so harshly is more about defining a narrative about Donald Trump and the president-elect choices, which have thus far been, in those 3 men, estimable, tells you more about the speaker than it does about those people who've been nominated.
But Hugh, if Sessions was blocked, let me ask you this, if Sessions was blocked 30 years ago for racially charged comments, blocked from being a federal judge, right, is it insensitive to a segment of the community, of the nation, if you will, to nominate someone like this?
No, I don't think so. I think Jeff Sessions was blocked in 1986 because of the vote of 2 Republicans, Charles Mathias and Arlen Specter. One of those Republicans, Arlen Specter, later said he was wrong to have done so, that he gave credit to allegations that ought not to have been credited. And, of course, Senator Specter is now dead. And so because politics crippled him in 86, it should not pursue him now. He is an incredibly well-qualified Attorney General. What the left is afraid of with Senator Sessions, soon to be Attorney General Sessions, and I call them General because I work for 2 of them in the past, General Meese and General Smith, is that he knows the DOJ top to bottom. 17 years as an AUSA and USA. He will turn that place upside down. And Betty, here's the real story. I suspect he will appoint a special prosecutor to look into the Servergate, and that I suspect they will look into whether or not any of the current Deputy Assistant Attorney Generals, Assistant Attorney Generals were involved in obstruction of those investigations. People are afraid that Jeff Sessions knows the building over there at 9th and E, and that he is going to turn it upside down in pursuit of genuine liberty, and the judges that he helps find will be originalists. It's just a terrific choice.
Well, Hugh, would you recommend a special prosecutor? I mean, does the nation have an appetite for that at this point?
I think we need to know what happened at DOJ and the FBI. I think there are a lot of things that have to happen. I see these things happen, like Senator Paul coming out and saying Ambassador Bolton could never be Secretary of State. And I think to myself, that's just nuts. So, you know, Ambassador Bolton would make a great Secretary of State or a great United States trade representative. Everyone's just got to sit back and give this president-elect a chance to name his team. And as you said in the last segment with Kelly, he got Mitt Romney coming out to the New Jersey golf course today. He's had Nikki Haley in. He's talked to General Jim Mattis today. He's talked to Tom Cotton. This is obviously a man who has moved from a campaign that was controversial and bruising to governing with lightning speed and is far ahead of any previous transition. Last week they were talking about the transition being in chaos. If you actually look at the metrics of appointments, Donald Trump is so far ahead of where President Obama was at the same time in his transition, and President Bush, who was locked into the Florida nightmare with Al Gore, that people ought to be sitting back and saying, wow, Donald Trump may be you know, quite a different dish, but we could grow to like this very, very much.
Well, they're sitting back and saying, wow, Mitt Romney today, possibly Secretary of State. Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't have any knowledge. I am a great admirer of Governor Romney. I helped edit his book when he ran for president. I think it would be a masterstroke by Donald Trump to ask him, and I believe Governor Romney, being a patriot, would accept it, but I have no inside knowledge. And it would stun the country in a team of rivals-like move. Doris Kearns Goodwin is going to become the most influential historian ever because I think she helped shape the Obama transition, and I think she's shaping the Donald Trump transition by illustrating how Lincoln governed so effectively by bringing in your harshest critics, as Hillary Clinton was brought into President Obama's cabinet, as Mitt Romney's being brought to New Jersey. Doris Kearns Goodwin gets a 5 stars for influencing history as well as writing it.
All right, Hugh Hewitt, as always. Nice to talk to you today. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty.